evening, everyone, and welcome to our third webinar on breaking silence here at Garden for Healing. My name is Nailah Padilla, and I am honored to be your moderator for tonight's important event. Our town hall tonight will be an opportunity for you to speak on experiences and events that are related to our topic. We first like to reiterate that this is a safe space where you know that you are supported and we are here to support you, as well as you're here to support the others and your peers and your family members and our fellowships that we're meeting today. We also want you to think about ways that you can take action and ways that we'll be able to heal together. I'd first like to introduce our first speaker, Miss Linda Berk, to speak as her distinguished self, and then to introduce herself to our community, as well as what she would like to speak on tonight.
I came to know about this townhouse through work I'm doing in an effort called the Moral Compass Initiative Global Foundation, where my partner and I are putting on an international music festival for humanitarian relief. So this year it is food hunger, and we have a few partners we're working with globally around the world. One of the other things I'm working on is a podcast called Real Women, Real Stories, Real Women. And it basically is a chance for women to share their experiences in life, mostly professional, it started out, but being able to provide other women with a blueprint on how to get through challenges in life, how to get through challenges in business and personal experiences as well. So I have grown from my experience with abuse. I was married years ago, divorced over 30 years ago from that person. But we all experienced abuse. So many of us have experiences that we don't share. Some of it's embarrassing, it's humiliating. You keep it to yourself because you don't want to believe other people might understand or think highly of you. But probably one of the most important things I learned from my experience was to love myself, which I didn't that much, which is how I got into a relationship with someone who clearly didn't love me enough to treat me the way I should have been treated. And it took decades. It took years of therapy. But one of the things I think is important is that those of us who get through challenging times and difficult times, what we learn out of it, what we get from it, to be able to share it. So, I've been willing to share my experience as I wasn't willing to years ago, because I think it's important to see if someone is in a situation where they feel hopeless. And I felt hopeless. I'd be threatened, I'd be falling, and I walked around every day in terror because I felt helpless. And that is something that no one should feel. It created anxiety in me, but it's a very torturous feeling. So I share what I've learned to let other, women know that abuse is not acceptable under any form. Like I was being cut off from family and friends and didn't realize that. Sometimes we think it's love and and all that's mushy stuff, but it wasn't. It was calculated way in which to cut me off from people. I want other women to know that we all should love ourselves. God put us on this earth for a purpose. And what each of our purposes are may vary, but no one should ever take your dreams, your hopes away from you. No one should ever make you feel less than. And wherever I can share my experiences, wherever I can do what I can do to help somebody else along the way, if it's just one person, then I feel like I've done something. I guess that's basically what I wanted to share. I just wanted to share my experience. I've grown. It took me years. It took me decades. Took me decades to get there. I turned 73 this year in November. And it wasn't until my 50s that I really started to have the strength to really believe in myself, because abuse with women can be very damaging and can take many years to overcome. And with age comes the wisdom to realize your value and your worth, to realize that you should never let anyone hold you back or hold you down, and that you should never live in terror or fear or without hope. And so I share that with this group today. And I don't know if anyone on the line has experienced abuse. I'm not saying you are, but that's my experience. And it's taken me years to get here. But I'm glad to be here. And I actually was able to go through enough challenges to be grateful that I came through the other side, and without getting into the details. But I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be able to share the fact that there is another side. There is something that you can go through and come out the other side and actually be blessed. And I am currently blessed with the best relationship I can imagine. But I know what things to look for now. I know what things to accept and not accept. Relationships do take sharing and caring and maybe some compromise, but it should never be who you are. It should never be your self-worth. It should never be your hope and your dreams. And so I am blessed, and I am happy to be able to share that with you this evening. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but that's my testimony to everyone.
I think if anyone has any questions, we'll definitely put it in the chat so that we can also send it to you after you need to leave and whatnot. Thank you very much.
I have a few minutes. I could stay.
Oh, okay. If anyone has any questions, Ms. Berk, yes, absolutely.
And I'm not sure if that's what you wanted to hear, but when I saw the subject matter, I had to relate it to my life's experiences. So
we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I don't necessarily have a question, but I just wanted to thank you so much, Miss Linda, for, first of all, for being here, taking some time off. We know that everyone, first of all, for everyone who took the time to be here. So I don't take that, for granted, and I don't take it lightly, because you never know what, the testimony, that one has, like what the impact that it can do for another. So I just want to thank you. Even for myself, it is really encouraging. And I think for those who might be experiencing or not even sure if it is, if for what they've heard, hopefully it would trigger something, to start asking question. Is this the way it should be? Is this loving? And then they can take it from there. So thank you very much. And we hope you're welcome anytime. And
thank you.
Thank you.
I'll hang out for a few more minutes until I have to go. But I guess my parting message to everyone is to love yourself. Is really learn to love yourself.
Thank you.
There's nothing more valuable than that. And if you can't love yourself, how can you love anyone else?
Yes.
In a healthy way. So thank you for the opportunity to share. And I'm always willing to share what life has taught me. So thank you, Nikki. And
thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Again, if anybody has any questions for Ms. Berk, we can definitely put it inside the chat by the time. As for now, I would like to pass it on and introduce Her Worship Mayor Sheran Palacio to the stage.
I must begin by congratulating Nicole for touching such a very important topic. I believe in the equality of man and woman, and I strongly believe a bird with two wings. If one wing becomes incapacitated, the bird will not be able to fly. And that's how I see male and female. In today's world, we know that we have a lot of women, as Linda shared her story. There are many stories In my case, I'm a she for she champion, and I'm a strong advocate for women who cannot normally speak for themselves. As we know, women's rights are human rights, and our rights needs to be protected. Gender-based violence, and I even included femicide, has no room in our society, and we know that it's plaguing society. We must continue to bring this criminal act to an end. I was looking at the statistics at home and abroad, and indeed, it's a huge problem worldwide. So I was saying that we need to create awareness to stop gender-based violence against women. We need to protect the lives of women, and it should be a priority and not an option. When you have one woman, you have all. So we want to say that we are supporting the women who have been abused as they recover, and we must be loud and united in raising our voices to end violence against women. Being a woman should not be a death sentence. We need to have an effective campaign to combat gender-based violence in my country and worldwide. I know firsthand that combating gender-based violence requires outreach, engagement, advocacy, of course, family support, and even legal reform. It is my hope that with more awareness like these and proactive open communication about the issue of gender-based violence, that more groups will come together, and in that way, justice must prevail. Because most times, women in such situation, it's as if though they go into hiding, and reporting is always a big problem. My niece recently really got the worst case of violence whereby her face was destroyed and a tooth was knocked out of her mouth. And for me, I started moving right away as this she for she champion and being a strong advocate. And everything we did fell down after 3 days. I wanted her to report it to the police. I sent her father to take her. I went in search of her, and the hiding started. And after 3 days, she returned to her killer. And right now, as I'm speaking, only the good Lord knows what will happen, because the minute you see that they refuse to report, then there's little or nothing we can do as persons who want to help. I supplicate to all on this platform to rise in prayer against all forms of gender-based violence and abuse to all women. Let's declare that there will be a reduction in statistics of all records and figures of violence against women in our nation and around the world. We all need eyes to see and ears to hear, and the courage to act when violence is carried out against our women and children in our communities. We all need to pray and fast to acquire more wisdom, of course, for those of us who put God first place in our lives, more grace and strength to fight against all forms of gender-based violence. Last but not least, we need wisdom and strength for the persons who are always interacting with the victims. For example, counselors, social workers, medical staff, because as we know, some of them get hurt and end up in such care, community workers, psychiatrists. A lot of time our women end up with panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and sometimes they even become from neurotic to psychotic and lose all mental faculties because of domestic violence. In conclusion, may our societies be safe, may our societies be peaceful, May it be an environment where young girls can go to school, where career women can go to work without fear, where ladies can experience the joys of relationship without any fear or harassment. Together, we must discover ways to amplify the voice of women and girls who are speaking out for change. We need to be fearless. We need to be courageous. We need to be united in all forms of condemning gender-based violence at home and abroad. Finally, I pray for an overflow of dignity, ocean of patience, care, respect, and kindness to our women. And most important, an end to gender-based violence and femicide. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Palacio. We are so honored to have you this evening, and thank you for your commitment to our community and making our space a better place. I would now like to open the floor to our audience. This is a time and an opportunity where you are able to speak on your experiences or events that has happened in your time. But right before that, I would also like to ask Miss Linda if she can address the question, if you can suggest an effective way to discourage the abuse of women from going back to her abuser.
Right. That is probably the most difficult part of being a family or a friend of someone in an abusive situation, because in their head, the abuser, there's a cycle where they abuse you and then they come out and they're the most loving, wonderful, and each time you hope that will be it, that there'll be this kind, wonderful person. It's like they say, make up sex, it's great, it's intense, it's wonderful. But I think it's important for us as friends and family members of someone, if you even think someone is in a situation like that, usually you can tell. They tend to stop communicating with family and friends. They get isolated. It's important not to let that isolation happen, to try and do what you can to stay in touch and stay in communication to bring someone out. But probably even more important, when I tell people I grew up most of my life feeling so insecure, they're like, how? You're educated, you're smart, you're attractive. What do you mean you were insecure? We have to support each other. Women have to compliment women. Women have to help keep women propped up until they get to a point where they can hold themselves up. It's important to tell other women they're beautiful, they're intelligent, they're bright, they're creative, they're funny, they have personality. We have to help, because once a person feels the strength of value, that they are worth something, they tend to resist someone who pulls them in with false or with gaslighting and false compliments that bring them back in. So I really think I take a compliment from a woman so much more of so much more value than I do from a man. And I give women compliments. I think it's important that we do that we support them, and that we provide the kind of strength they need before they get into a situation like that. Or if you see them going into it, is to be able to help pull them out by giving them self-worth and self-value.
Thank you very much, Ms. Berk. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you have any other questions, our audience, towards Ms. Nicole, Mayor Palacio, or even Ms. Berk again, please do feel free to put it inside the chat, or even raising your digital hand, and you can turn on your mic and say your question to whoever it be designated to. I would like to hand it over to the person who just raised their hand. You have the floor, and the stage is yours if you would like to give your input.
I'm honored to be here today, invited by the Garden of Healing Foundation to speak out against the abuse of women, a grave issue that continues to afflict our global community. But before moving on, I would like to take a moment to express my deepest admiration to Miss Nicole Bradshaw, the founder of Garden of Healing Foundation. For in the face of such deeply ingrained injustice, it takes extraordinary courage and conviction to stand firm. Nicole, your restless effort and unyielding determination serve as a beacon of hope. You are not only a voice of the voiceless, but a force of change. Your work reminds us all that healing begins when one cares enough to act. And you have turned care into action, and action into a movement. Thank you for being a tireless champion for women's liberation across the globe. For thousands of years, women have been subjected to systematic injustice, embedded deeply within cultural norms, social structures, and political systems. For being denied education and the right to vote, to suffering domestic violence, forced marriages, and economic exclusion. Women across civilizations have endured layers of oppression. Tragically, many of these forms of abuse continue today. It looks new in appearance, but indeed, it's ancient in their roots. The subjugation of women has never been about inability or lack of worth. It has always been about power and control. And it is our moral responsibility to confront this reality and challenge it at every level. To break the cycle of abuse, I think we must start with education. Education is the first step. Educating not just girls, but boys, families, and entire communities about gender equality, consent, and respect. Laws must be strengthened and enforced, but legal frameworks alone are not enough. We need accountability, grassroots advocacy, and international cooperation. Economic empowerment is also vital. When women have access to financial independence, their voices grow stronger. Most importantly, we need to shift the culture. We need to shift the culture from silence to speaking out, from victim blaming to survivor support, from tolerance of abuse to zero tolerance. Let us not speak today out of sympathy, but out of solidarity. Let us not only raise our voices, but raise our standards for our societies, our institutions, and ourselves. Together, we can dismantle the system that enables abuse and build a world where women live free, safe, and empowered. Thank you, Ms. Nailah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your words. Truly inspiring, and I think it all touched us very much. Thank you so much. Is
Can I
that
add
Mr.
something as well?
Yes, please do.
I raised, as a single mother, I raised a son, and I think I'm appreciating what Bashir is saying, that he's coming from a male vantage point to say something some women don't say. But I think we also have to do what we can to raise our male children to not be abusive and not tolerate. And I had that issue with my son. I tried to, but he was influenced by society and when he went to school and when he was around other people. But I know the first time I saw him being abusive to his son, to his wife, I had to stop it, and it just wasn't how I raised him. But I think we also have to raise our male children to honor women, to appreciate women, to respect women, and know that they don't have a right to control women. And that marriage is a partnership. It's a relationship. And it's not one to be dominated by the man, but to be shared together in responsibilities and experiences. So, Bashir, thank you for making me think of that, because I think it's important that our men understand the value of a woman as well and respect her.
I absolutely agree. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I see Mr. Kerry Lee Noel, if you would like to bring yourself to the stage as well.
What the other persons were saying is very, very important to really educate persons, because women and children, they are definitely in this situation and they are more vulnerable when it comes to abusive situations and feeling safe. So we definitely need to educate them on certain matters, whereby when they see certain things, they don't accept it and they speak out about it. They need to really feel safe. And the Garden of Healing Foundation is one of the organizations to really promote that safeness and rebuilding their lives then. And so this is very, very important, making them feel that they matter and they don't have to accept it and they can heal from past traumas. Because speaking from personal experience, I have seen where my aunts have been affected by domestic violence due to my uncles, and it wasn't a very nice situation. Down to this day, they are still dealing with such trauma that they can't even speak about it. I have seen friends who have been beaten badly by domestic violence, and it affects the kids because they have 3 daughters now, but it definitely affects them. So once again, an avenue whereby they could, even though if they are part of it, they can deal with it by counseling and to be able to have a productive life and for it not to affect them in the future. This is something, and this is what Garden of Healing Foundation is all about, really providing that sanctuary. And it is through the means of the generosity of persons to be able to get more resources, to be able to help persons to be able to deal with such trauma. And I'm very happy and proud to be part of this organization, to be able to have an impact and make a change when it comes to dealing with domestic violence within the home. Now, Garden of Healing Foundation, it doesn't just deal with domestic violence and with women and children, but they go way beyond in terms of helping persons in other countries, less fortunate families. We may have certain with, and it's easily accessible, but they're in other countries, they don't have basic things like water, food, shelter, basic necessities of life. But Garden of Healing Foundation, due to the generosity of donations, monetary contributions, we are able to really reach persons in other parts of the world, like Gambia or Senegal, these areas. Many more areas, but we are able to help in such areas. And I'm very proud to be part of the Garden of Healing Foundation in this aspect.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, especially for your contribution to Garden of Healing Foundation. Thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Bashir, if you would like to speak more on this.
When I said to break the cycle of abuse, I said we must start with education. Educating not just girls, but boys, families, and entire communities about gender equality, consent, and respect. That's what I said. Boys and girls, entire community, families. And to talk about that culture barrier, the culture abuse is even worse. For instance, I have one thing that I experienced with my sister Nafisa in Senegal. When she was going to school, she loved to, about education. She wanted to go to school. She wanted to be a different, she wanted to be just like other girls who just go marry, get babies, and just do like that culture thing. She wanted to move out of that circle. So she took the decision to go to school. One elder came back home in our house and went to my mother. She told my mother, why are you allowing Nafisa to go to school? She's going to school all these years. What for? It's not important for women to go to school. I mean, a woman is just here to know how to cook, how to clean, and how to take care of a man. That's all why God created the woman. And this is an elder in our community. And my mom is there like, yeah, but I told her, but then she refused. What can I do? I told her to stop going to school. No, she needs to go and marry and do like women. So, but Nafisa said, no, I'm going to school. And today Nafisa is a teacher. She's teaching and she's getting a big salary and is taking care of herself. She's not waiting for no man to take care of her. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing up that experience, sir. Thank you very much. Again, our floor is open for anyone else who would like to have the opportunity to speak on their experience or events. This is, of course, a very safe space, and we are here to support you in the same way that you've been supporting us. As well as you have any questions for our main speakers here tonight, feel free to put it in the chat or to raise your hand and ask away. So if anyone would like to speak, do jump in.
Well, I do have to back out right now, but I want to thank Nicole for doing this. I think we all have a role in impacting our community in some kind of way. I do what I can, and I really appreciate the fact that you pulled this together. People don't realize what it takes to put together a not-for-profit to keep, people together and to get these positive messages out and be supportive. So your work is admirable, and I thank you for inviting me to be a part of it. And I wish you all the best. Please feel free to contact me and reach out to me again.
Yes,
And I would love to be a member of your organization if it helps to do that
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Berk.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Again, if there's anyone else who would like to speak on anything, this is our time to do it here.
Hi, this is Simone. Just had a quick comment or statement. Like I said in my chat before, in my, we have to always, although we want to promote positivity for the women that go through the abuse and who live within that abusive household, we cannot forget the children. Because at some point they're going to grow up to be adults. And most young women who live through that grow thinking that it's okay to be treated negatively. And some young men think it's okay growing up in that environment to treat women badly. So we also have to remember, if that woman does decide to leave that relationship, the kids cannot be forgotten. We need to find a way to help them so that they can move forward positively in life. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you for bringing up such a great point on there. Violence against women impacts everyone around them, including the person themselves. And it's important that we are here to support one another in these endeavors that occur to one of each other. Thank you very much. Is there anything else that anyone would like to throw out there?
Yeah, thank you, you guys, for all the hard work that you guys are doing. I really appreciate you guys including me in the conversation, and we need to continue to promote the conversation. And remember, it's not only violence, men against women. We can have violence, women and women, men on men, right? We cannot exclude anyone. We have to remember it happens in all walks of life.
Absolutely. Thank you. If you all would like to have an opportunity to try and contribute to our cause, we have here our donation link that you can go up to, and it will take you to our website where you're able to spare anything that you have change-wise. Yes, Mr. Bushman.
I would like first to thank Miss Nicole Bradshaw, the founder, for her tireless effort and continuity, endless contribution to this cause and bringing the voices of the unheard to the public ears. I want to present from a personal perspective. I have 5 sisters, and that alone is enough to make me permanently attached to any cause that speaks to violence against women, because I have been a recipient of many brothers-in-law, and as soon as they walk in and they begin to talk marriage, I simply say to them, there are only 2 things I will respond to. You can do your arguments at home, but as soon as I hear my sister call me and say somebody is beating her, it's over. This is the only thing I tell my brothers-in-law. I say, we're not going to tolerate that. And you can imagine the fright that comes to their faces each time they hear that. I say, don't call me on anything else but that one. I will be there in 2 seconds. So when I became aware of Garden of Healing Foundation, I became a permanent member of it for life. I will always be there to support all the causes related to what is being done to bring an end this particular dilemma. It's actually an epidemic in our society. And what I would like to suggest to the community is this. We can put pressure on our legislators wherever we are to write laws that prevent the police from turning the victim to become shameful to even show up at the police station to make a report. Because I've heard so many times when, as soon as the women show up, if there are male police officers, for example, they start laughing at her, and the scorn and the derision discourages her, and she goes home and returns to the abuser. So we want to have effective legal modalities that are set up that can address and rewrite the laws the way it is and mandate the police to take effective action once there's a report, and also make it possible for, even where there are instances where the woman has been so abused and she's even unable to speak to herself anymore, where she can now go in and the community can actually go in and rescue her. And with organizations such as Garden of Healing and others who are involved in this, then we're able to effectively intervene and help the victims. Because male and female, I always say to the male children that I've been mentoring, learn to have discussions, intellectual discussions with your partner. Don't get angry when she's more intelligent than you, because that's how nature is. Okay, if you happen to have a girlfriend or wife that is more intelligent than you, don't get intimidated by her. Otherwise, leave her alone and go find your own measure. Because sometimes people can harbor such recriminations and say, oh, she's more intelligent than me, so let me find a way to suppress and abuse her so she can be quiet. So engage and dialogue with your partner, speak with your partner rather than using your hands. This is what I've been encouraging the young men to do more frequently from a very minuscule perspective. But on a larger scale, I encourage all our men, all our boys, all our young men out here to please adopt the same system. Don't beat your woman. Have a discussion, first of all. Have an argument, if you want to call it that, but have a dialogue, a sensible dialogue. Disagree. Disagreement is very healthy. Simply because she disagrees with you doesn't mean you should beat her for disagreeing with you. You see, because there are little nuances that don't come to the public knowledge that actually initiate all these things. And by the time we hear about it, it's actually late. So, from that perspective, we too start to retrain the mindset of our young men, especially to learn how to dialogue and have conversations with their partners, and also get them mentally ready to disagree, because it's healthy to actually disagree, because you grow from the disagreement. You don't start beating her because she's disagreed with you, and perhaps she has a point that is more intelligent than yours, so you become intimidated by her. So that level of tolerance is what I'm encouraging for us to adopt at this point. And as I said earlier, I will always lend all my resources and effort and whatever I have to support the Garden of Healing Foundation and what it's doing globally, wherever and whenever we are called to do so. And we also have efforts in place to create a physical location, a brick and mortar location for Garden of Healing, so that way we're able to even more substantially assist the women who have no shelter, nowhere to go at 2 a.m., especially in a place like New York City, for example, where we are now. These things happen. They happen every minute, every hour, every second. So I can't. My gratitude to Garden of Healing and the team is inexhaustible. And thank you so much again for having this discussion and this town hall. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bushman. Thank you, everybody, for coming out this evening. I appreciate the grace and kindness each of you have brought. Thank you to our speakers, to the sponsors, and to our behind-the-scenes team here on this webinar. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming out. Effect happens when action is taken, and education broadens our knowledge. So if there's one thing that we would like for you to take, is to always educate yourselves and others. Again, we're very grateful for your time here. If you wish to keep up with us, feel free to follow us on our social media pages, including on Instagram and on Facebook. Our donation link for helping us help rehabilitate women who have been experiencing abuse, feel free to donate in the chat as well. Thank you again, everybody, for coming out tonight. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.